Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this session. In this session, I am going to discuss the fundamental of process management in Linux operating systems. So I guess you all are aware about what is a process. Let me initiate a process. So let's say I have written one program in this. So let me see that one program.c I have written. This program, once I compile and execute, it will become a process, right? So I have written this program. It is printing hello world, and then I have applied a sleep of 100 seconds. So this program will go in sleep for 100 seconds, right? So in this duration, we can analyze the status, behavior, and other things of this program, right? So it is a very easy program. Now let's compile it. So when I compile, we use gcc program.c, and after compilation, gcc will give us a.out file. So if I want to execute a.out, I will run like this. Okay. Now once I run it, this will hold this screen because this process is sleeping and it is holding the prompt. So this prompt will be released after 100 seconds. So around 2 minutes it will take. If I want to release before, I can press Ctrl plus Z. So once I press this thing, the process has been shifted in background. So the process is still running. You can check the status. So let's say if I run the jobs command, it will show me there is a process sleep which is running in background. So the command jobs can list out the processes or jobs those are running in background. What is the meaning of background and foreground processes? Let's say if I run sleep and I apply sleep for 10 seconds, this process will be in sleeping mode for 10 seconds. It will hold the prompt, so I cannot type command here. This is holding. After 10 seconds, it is releasing it, and now my prompt is back. So I got this dollar prompt. That means once I execute the sleep 100, it become a process, and that process is running in foreground. That means the prompt is associated to that particular process, right? But if I want to execute the sleep in background, I can put an ampersand symbol after the command. So when you put the symbol ampersand, this command will be converted into a process, and that process is start executing in background. So your prompt will be available to you to type any next command, right? So when you run it, it will give you a return value like 3, and this is the process ID with which it is created and it is running in background. So if you want to bring this particular process in foreground, you can use fg command, and the return value was 3. So once you do this, it is saying the job has been terminated, right? So if I check the jobs, still one sleep 100 is still, it is reflecting, it is executing. So let's say now it is saying it is stopped. Okay, so this is stopped. I can start another process just to demonstrate the fg command and bg command. So I start a process with sleep command, and I'm applying this time sleep, a long sleep, let's say 100 second, and I'm executing it as in background by putting the ampersand sign. Now if I run jobs command, it will display me the sleep 100. It is running and it is in background, right? Now if I want to bring it into the foreground, I can use fg command with the return value, and return value is 3. Let's say this is the third job. So the third job, now it is in foreground and it is holding my prompt. So my dollar prompt is not there, the cursor is blinking, but this process is holding for 100 seconds. Now if I want to push this process from foreground to background, I can press Ctrl plus Z. Once I press it, this process is still running, but it is forced to be executed in background. So now it is in background. Okay, so if you run jobs, you can see there are jobs available. Okay, So if this process is not terminated, if you run foreground and if you type 3, again it will bring in the foreground, right? So how to run a process in background and how to run a process in foreground, I hope it is clear. So let's move on. Now once I execute my process, any process, like I have ./a.out, which I have generated by using GCC after compiling my code. So if I run it in background, let's say, right? Now I want to check the process, how it is running, how many processes are running. So for checking that, there's a command called ps. In ps command, it will show the status of the processes. So there are different processes. One is bash, executed by this cmd means command. tty means terminal. On which terminal? So this is terminal 1 only. All are using terminal 1. And these are the process ID of these processes. Those are running, right? So this is a.out process. Earlier also we have executed one a.out process. In terms of process ID in Linux operating system, initially when the system starts, it gets getting the process ID like 0, then 1, then and so on. So if a process is having any higher process ID, let's say this is having 5678 and this is having 5671, that means this process has been started at a later point in time as compared to this process, right? Similarly, we can compare the processes. Okay, so if you want to check the process ID of your, let's say, bash is having process ID 4414. There's another way we can print the process ID of bash or your current prompt by printing the variable dollar. So there's dollar sign. Once you print it, it will return the process ID of your bash. Now this hello is getting returned because that a.out which I have executed, in that I have written hello world. So after the 100 second, it will return hello world, right? Okay. So if I want to print the process ID of my bash, I will type echo space dollar dollar. Dollar dollar is a variable which stores the process ID of your bash, presently running bash. Okay. So inside this bash, if I also want to print the parent process ID of this bash process, I can use echo dollar dollar and I can use ppid. Because I'm printing this variable, I should use dollar here. So in that way I can print the process ID of bash, that is 4414, and the parent process ID of bash, that is 4409, right? So remember these two variables. Now let's say if I start another bash. So I have started another bash and now I want to print the ID of this bash. This will have different ID. So now this newly initiated bash is having ID 5736. Okay. Now if we print the parent process ID of this bash, it will be the previous bash. So previous bash ID was 4414. Now you can check it. In the parent ID, it is maintaining 4414. That means this process has been initiated by this process. So this process becomes the parent and this is the child. And child process will always have the greater ID as compared to the parent, because parent must have initiated earlier than the child, right? I hope you are getting it. So this is the parent child relation in this. Now if you want to check the ID of a process which you are not aware about the ID, but you are aware about the command or the name, so you can use PID of command. In PID of, let's say I type sleep. So if any of the process has been initiated as a sleep name or command, it will list out. So these are the processes those have initiated with this command, and these are the IDs, right? There is another command that we consider as PS. In PS, if you set -c option, then also it will give you the process ID of the process for which you are typing the name, let's say sleep. So for the sleep, these are the processes. Those have been initiated with sleep command like 4552, 5614, and 5812, right? So if you want to get the process ID of a process, you are aware about the command through which the process has been initiated, then you can use it. So let's say if I want to check the process ID, I run my program ./a.out in background, let's say. So I'm putting ampersand. Now it is running it. If I want to check the process ID, although I'm aware about it is running as with the process ID 5828, but let's say I want to check it. So I type a.out here. And with a.out, there are two processes. One is having ID 5543, that is my previously executed process, and the newly executed process, which is in sleeping mode, which is having ID 5828. Okay. So this -c option or PID of, remember both of these important commands which you can use as per your requirement, right? Now the next thing in this, if I want to list out all the processes, so if you check the manual of PS, you can set PS-A option. It will list out all the processes those are initiated in the system from beginning till now, right? So there's a very long list. You can check here PS-A, you can check it here, right? So it is displaying PID of the process, and this is the terminal information on which terminal the process is initiated or associated. This is the time, and this is the command, right? So if this TTY is giving you question, that means this process is not associated with any terminal, right? That means terminal has not initiated that process, so it doesn't have any association with any of the terminal. If a process is having question mark, that means it is not associated. But most of the process will be having terminal information like TTY1, because generally we use TTY1, so these are associated, and these processes has been initiated at terminal 2 and so on, right? Similarly, there is another command. We are having PS-E. So PS-E is exactly equivalent to PS-A. So if you run that, the similar output you will get it here, right? So that is the role of PS-A and PS-E. But let's say if you want to display the information in a specific manner, so you can use, let's say, PS-O command, and in O you can mention, let's say, if you want to display PID or PPID, or let's say CMD command. So if you run it, it will display the PID of the existing processes, then parent process ID, and then the command through which those processes has been initiated. So this -O option in PS will help you to print the output in a specific or desired manner, or in a desired format, right? Okay. So I hope this PS-O is also clear. You can combine more than one option in PS also. So let's say if you write PS-E and along with E you set O, and here you are displaying a number of things like PPID, or first you want to display PID or PPID, or let's say CMD. Okay, so with this you are able to understand how to push a process in background, how to bring the process in foreground, how to check the process ID, how to find out the detail of a process, right? So ps-a and ps-a are the identical thing. In ps you can set -o option also, and you can print the output as per your requirement. So ps-o, and you can set any a number of things. So like you want PID or PPID, or let's say stat, or you want command which state that. So stat will give you the status of the process, the state. So if it is S, that means it is double S, that means it is still running, but it is holding the prompt, right? So there are different status code of the process. So in case we are having S, generally S represent the interruptible sleep, and T represent the stopped process, Z represent the zombie process, okay, R represent the running process, and I represent the idle state. So if a process is in sleeping state, then it will show you something. So let's say if I initiate again /a dot out, and it is in background, let's say, and if I run, okay, no such file it is saying. So let me check whether my file is existing. No. Okay, so I'll create, let's say, sleep 100-second sleep I have created. Now this is the process which is in sleeping mode. Now I want to check. So I run the same command, ps-o, pid, ppid, stat, and cmd. Now if you check the status of this is S, that means this process is in sleeping state, right? So this sleep 100 process is in sleeping state. The parent process ID and process ID is mentioned here. Okay. There are a few more important command. So let's say you want to get the information by a process name or command name, then you can also use pgrep command. So pgrep, and let's say sleep, if you pass here, spelling mistake is there, pgrep, and let's say sleep, then it will give you the IDs of all the processes those has been initiated by the sleep command. And let's say if you write pgrep and bash, so it will return the process ID of your bash, and so on. There's one more important command which we consider as pstree. So if you want to print the process hierarchy or tree, then you can use pstree command. So if you run pstree command, it will list out or print the complete hierarchy starting from the very topmost process. So you can check, and pstree is saying like system D is the mother process, system D, which is having process ID 1, has been initiated these many of processes, and in turn this process like audit.td, it is created or initiated two child processes, right? Similarly, you can understand what is this hierarchy. So this tree is representing, right? So this is the output of the ps tree command. Now in ps tree, if you set -p option, then it will start displaying the process IDs also along with this, right? So when you type ps tree -p option, it will display all the detail as it was displaying in the previous command like ps tree, but it will display the process IDs along the side. So you can check it, right? So these two are the child of this process 1906, and the childs are having like 1907 and 1908 and so on. You can also grep it. So let's say if I use grep, I want to filter out only my sleep command. So if I run it, my sleep is this, and it was having this ID, and I hope you are getting whatever the sleep it is existing in the system right now. You will get the detail along with the parent and the hierarchy. Okay. Now there is one more important command. Let's say I run sleep. So let me check whether my sleep is existing. No, it has been over. So let's say again I'm running sleep for, let's say, 100 seconds, and I want to push it in the background. So I press Ctrl Z. Now my sleep is running in background, and if I type jobs, sleep is running there, right? Now if I want to print the process hierarchy, or like the ID and then the parent ID and so on, I can use pstree -p, pstree -p hyphen, and I can use s option and then the PID. So the PID of my that process which is in sleeping state, I need to check the process ID. So let's say I type PS and my sleep is having ID 3059. So I can use PS -p -s and 3059. It will give me the complete hierarchy. So you can check the hierarchy. This sleep, you'll go here, it is plus, that means the further information is there. So your sleep has been initiated by this process, that is 2822, that is BAS, and BAS has been initiated by 2817 process. It is the genome terminal, and the genome terminal has been started by the process which is having ID 2164, and that is the one of the system D process, and the mother process of the system that we consider as system D with process ID 1. So you please do remember. Let me decrease it. Okay, so now if I run the same command again, you can check it. The last is this sleep. So I'm checking the detail, the complete hierarchy of the sleep. Sleep has been generated by this has been generated by this, and so on. So this is very important and useful command. It will print the complete hierarchy from the system D. System D is the mother process, right? So if you check like PS-A on top of all these processes, you will find out system D process with process ID 1. So you check it. This is the process ID 1, and this process is system D. So this process we consider as the mother process of the Linux system, right? So I hope till this all these commands are clear to you. So we have discussed few of the commands, like we have discussed PS command. There are certain variations. We have discussed pstree command. We have discussed PID of command. We have discussed pgrep command, right? And job commands. We have also discussed till now how to push a process in background and how to bring a process in foreground, right? And I have also mentioned some of the state code of the process. So let's say if a process is in sleeping state, the code will display as S. If a process is not running and it is actually terminated or dead state, then it will display the status as X. If a process is zombie, then the status will come as Z. So all these things we have talked about, right? We have also discussed how you can print the output of PS as per your need by setting -O option. Okay, so this is sufficient for this lecture, right? Or I'll continue with few of the important things about process management in the next session. Okay, so thank you everyone for connecting.